Welcome to the Ricky Matthews Show from the Citizens Bank Studio. Hope you're having a great day as we continue to celebrate so many people across the state of Mississippi. I love doing this show. I love the conversations that it starts off the air, and the conversation we have in between breaks and before the show starts and after the show. I get to know so many people, and I've said this before, but I take copious notes, lots and lots of notes. So of the 1,500 conversations I've had on this show, over that many, I've had, notes on every single one of them. So when I want to go back and remind myself about something we talked about, I can go there and see it. Not that, really I don't have to do that because the shows are all captured. I've got all of the shows and podcast platforms or YouTube or Facebook, but it's something about the notes. The notes, help me, internalize the conversations. And one of the people I really enjoy spending time with, because I really never know where the conversation is going to go because his hands are in so many different things, is my friend Steve Azar, the singer-songwriter from Mississippi, from up in the Greenville area, but he is really a treasure of Mississippi because he wrote the state song, One Mississippi, among other incredible things that he's done, which we'll get into some of that. He got a new podcast. He's got a show on SuperTalk. He's still writing music, traveling the country and doing volunteer work for various fundraising efforts. And he's got his own show in Greenville. Anyway, he's a man of many hats. How you doing, my friend?
Always wonderful talking to you. Great to see Kyle in the background. Yes, I appreciate you as always. Feel the same way, and always good to be here. I'm really good. Thank you.
Hey, listen, I was so thrilled that you were involved in the big Katrina event. I mean, the pinnacle Katrina event down at the Small Craft Harbor and at the Jim Barksdale Pavilion. In fact, ironically, I saw him the next Saturday and was able to spend some time with him. We were really happy to have him as our leader of the Governor's Commission after Hurricane Katrina. But as irony would have it, my granddaughter, Riley Williams, was one of the kids in the St. James crew that sang One Mississippi with you. I thought that was pretty darn cool, man. But thanks for coming down and being a part of that.
It blows my mind when I see Keith Williams, who I used to watch roam the football fields of Delta State with such majesty. Hall of Famer now, and his sister Kathy and her husband Biddy, and I've become such good friends with them. And to think that was the 80s. And then I started having hits, and I remember at a show, I think we were playing the Beau Rivage back in the day, and Keith and I were outside throwing the football. I mean, early for 2002 or 3 or 4. And then to have his kids, I mean, it was the weirdest thing, he's there and I'm going how has this happened? And it was a beautiful thing. The crazy thing is, in particular about sound, bless these guys, they work so hard and they didn't tell me. So I got there for sound check the day before. I think I told you. And they were such good guys. And we had it sounding great the day before, especially when it was just me and a guitar. You want things to be as big as you can, but we had the kids behind me or around me. I wanted them to be with me. And I got there early that morning just to check on things to make sure. And I go, everything okay? And they said, yeah, we're good. And I looked at them. I said, you sure? And they go, yeah. And so it turns out that the mixing board that they had used, wasn't working. So they had to makeshift it, and they didn't. I wish they would have told me, let's do a quick sound check again. So when I started playing, it was nothing like, and the kids started singing, and then I was like, oh my God, this is definitely not like it. I couldn't hear myself at all. And I was going man, please don't tell me this is being documented. But Steve, get over it. It's not about you. It's not about that. It's about the kids and the song and the moment of getting to rehash such a devastating time in y'all's lives, taking it personal in all of our lives from afar, watching. I was in Nashville at the time, and you and I didn't know each other at the time, but I had a lot of your friends and family members that I did. And what you guys went through was catastrophic, and how you guys survived it. And now you're writing a book about it and all these things. But to be a part of that with the state song, and it was amazing. It was moving, and I'm always grateful. I'm really grateful to be a part. I was part of.
By the way, it was fine. I watched it live. Yeah, I had shows going on, so I watched Mississippi Public Broadcasting and watch it. The kids so excited. Do you ever get because you travel all over the state of Mississippi singing that song with kids? Does it still blow your mind to hear kids know the words to those songs?
There are certain songs that don't do this, and that one's new every time you get to do it with these kids. So it's brand new every time, and you're like, wait a minute. It's so cool. And not only that, this week, a group in Tupelo, kids in Tupelo at a school, they sent me the video. I couldn't be there. They invited me, so I sent them a video of me in here in the studio, apologizing I couldn't be there. I was on the road, but they were singing every word in their play, like a performance. And I went, wow. And then I went to South Dakota 2 weeks ago to do an annual songwriter show that I host. And I get invited to this elementary school. And I said, what's going on? They said, they know One Mississippi. They want to sing it with you. I said, and they want you to read the book. And I went, what? And dang if they didn't know it. And those first through sixth grade, and it was so sweet. And I was in South Dakota, and I thought, man, that's really cool. Some things you never expect, and that's cool that other states are paying attention. And that was a beautiful. Yeah, it's a gift, man. This is the ultimate gift in a song that there'll be nothing that ever compares. Nothing.
I know, and then you think about the words to the song, which are so descriptive of Mississippi. How the song came about and how quickly you wrote it, had the inspiration that was behind it. And, I'm still honored that you let us use, a portion of the song as sort of the opening for SuperTalk Outdoors. But, when you talk about fertile fields, I mean, you cover everything, man. It's just a beautiful song. And it tells us, and for kids in South Dakota to learn the words of that song, their perception of Mississippi will forever be a specific thing.
It was crazy. It was crazy. One of the kids were screaming, this is our favorite song. One of the parents said, we hate you. And I said, I know. They said, do you realize this is in our car in the morning? It's in our car. We pick them up and they're singing with it. And we're going and now we know it. And we're going we hate you, but we love you. It's like, we can't take it anymore. So it's so sweet that's what's going on. And you wouldn't expect that, so, Governor Bryant asked me to write a song that every kid could sing, and Representative Becky Curry, when she and Philip Gunn, speaker at the time, wrote the bill, she told me, please make it where every kid will want to sing it. So it was like this 1-2 punch that I got, and that is what got me when she told me that. I'd already recorded the song, but then that's what got me to go get the kids at St. Joe to sing with me, because I didn't think of that, and she did. And so between them and their inspiration, and it was all about the kids for them. And I thought that, that's pretty amazing. And that was beautiful. It really what led me down the path of the entire song. They did.
Yeah, it's so cool to have the vision. And it makes sense. It makes sense that you would have a state song that kids could learn, that they could see the vision of Mississippi in the song and in the words. And they would then sing it so passionately. And I still remember the video from the St. Joe, kids singing it. It just fits. It just fits. I mean, you were in the right place.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I would say now we have so many schools that are singing it now, St. Joe's the beginning, but now it's everywhere. It's like, it's amazing. I got a text message this morning for another school that's asking me to come. And I've said yes, but we got to work at the date. I know I advertise this, but I do want to advertise it. When I can make it, I'll be there. And so will Sarah Frances Hardy, who is the illustrator for the book. We're both all in, and we have a great time. And it's reinvigorating. It's very moving, and I can't explain the feeling I get, but when I get there and I leave, I dwell on it, and it's a feeling that I've really never experienced. Is the best way I can. It's a very unique, wonderful feeling of having these kids so engaged and know it feels incredible. I just hadn't experienced that in the music world, Yeah,
one of the things I said to you back when the book was just released, the One Mississippi book, which the illustration, as you pointed out, the illustration is just perfect.
Wow, yeah.
when you look at that book and really get your head around it, you realize that it has legs. And what I mean by that, it's like the song will have legs. It will live long beyond you. In fact, I've been thinking, one of my lessons in my book is about legacy. And it's really about the sparks you leave in people, whatever that might be. And in your case, the spark that you lead in that book and in the words of that song are just going to be, it's going to have just compounding effect over the years. And as new kids come up, they'll be introduced to it again. It's a little bit like Disney World. New generations, they go to Disney World for the first time. They'll be coming to this song for the first time over and over and over again, new kids. Think of the impact over time of that. What a beautiful legacy.
Overwhelming. And I know that I feel like it's such a team effort for it to get there. And you were part of that. We're all so many wonderful people that I got to know over my time. And I'm, grateful.
Well, the song that existed, and I talked about in great detail on my show, it was a divisive song. The state song for Mississippi prior to the new One Mississippi song was a song that was written at a time that we're not proud of some of the things that happened in that history. And it was really important for that song to go away. And it did. And this new song that represents everybody has been launched. Just a beautiful thing. We'll see you after this break. Welcome back to the Ricky Matthews Show from the Citizens Bank studio. Hey, Steve, I didn't plan on launching this conversation with you right now. It just came to mind because we're talking about divisive, that divisive old Mississippi song that got replaced with your song, One Mississippi. And, you point out it was a team effort and lots of people were really inspired by that effort. And now we have a song we can all be proud of. But when I said divisive, it just hit me. I've written a couple of times about Charlie Kirk. And, I often say, I don't agree with 100% of what anyone says. That's just reality. Yeah. But when people who didn't know who he is are drawn to who is this guy? Now, some people are telling me he's this and he's that, and he's just terrible figure and all that. And I'm going to go look up for myself and understand who he is. And I'm talking about people on both sides of the political spectrum. And overwhelmingly, at least people who have faith, they go to him and say, holy mackerel, man, this guy was driven by faith, trying to bring us together. And even if you disagreed with him, he was extraordinarily respectfully having conversations with people he disagreed with. And he said, if we don't talk, that's what leads to a civil war. So he was living by example. And the more people who are being, sort of drawn to his body of work after hearing all these bad things that have been said about him, they're now getting a load for themselves. And I'm talking about my center right friends and my center left friends as they're drawn to him and his work. They're touched by what he stood for. Not every policy, but what he stood for in terms of his faith and his willingness to talk to people in a respectful way and all of this. And here's the other thing. He's going to live on. In 100 years, they're still going to be talking about Charlie Kirk because of the mountain of teaching that he's going to continue to do from the volume of content they've done, their digital capabilities. They recorded everything he did, everything he said. And it's like he knew. It's like he knew he wouldn't live a long life and that there would be inspiration that would have to come from that. But what it's also done is given us understanding of the divided world we live in, man. I mean, and social media polarizes us. The majority of us are in the middle, man. A little bit right, a little bit left. We're not on the polarizing ends. Now, the polarizing ends oftentimes decide the conversation, and they're after each other.
The media is getting sound bites, and they're turning them into sound bites without not giving you the whole story. And everybody, they're all guilty of that, and they should all be ashamed because
both sides are guilty of that.
You get taken out of context. It's not fair for someone now. The attention span of folks. The things that are working on TikTok and Instagram are things that are quick. They get to it, and I feel like you get this, and you can tell a whole different story if you leave a lot out. So I'm going it shouldn't be allowed. And I think that it's caused a lot of divisiveness that you're talking about. And look, I hope that my parents gave me the compassion that I think I have for everyone, my kids, my wife, I try to stay away from as much of it as possible because I feel like it can grab a hold of anybody if you stick to it for a while. And you go, wait a minute, and you can become exactly that way. I'm glad I grew up where I grew up. It taught me to love everyone. My parents taught me to love everyone, and my life in the music business has been surrounded by, all color, and I'm so grateful for that because I feel like it's given me an opportunity to be better, be a better human being, be more understanding. And I think that's a beautiful way to walk through life. And, I told you about a new song I'm writing, and it's a lot of it because of this. And I hate to get that way, but I mean, you can't even go to TikTok now or go to Instagram. And by the way, I was against TikTok until I had to do TikTok. And now I get it. I do get it. But with that said, you're seeing a lot of, wasn't paying attention, Charlie. And I had people saying, one way or the other. Obviously, you knew the faith. I'm going to argue with anybody when it comes to faith and what we believe. I'm not going to argue. I'm going to try to convince them of the magic. And there ain't no doubt in my mind that it is right here and prevalent, and it is important for us to live our lives with compassion and having the good Lord in our hearts and God in our hearts, and so that's how we were raised. That's how I was raised. But that's also, I'm living proof, I believe, through prayer. I've watched the magic happen and the majesty happen in the miracles for me. Little small little miracles. They're insignificant compared to the ones that have really mattered in the world. But for me, they were like stepping stones that were pretty miraculous to me. And so I'm a believer, but I also know that I've got a lot of friends who fight that. And I love them. And they also live with incredible dignity. They love their fellow neighbor. And so they're living it without admitting it. And I'm going like, well, that's beautiful too. So who am I and they probably have sinned less than me. So I will never point a finger. I will never cast a stone. But the divisiveness bothers me because I feel like if everybody had an opportunity, no matter how far left or how far right, I would like to believe if they were in a room together and they had to be together and they had to talk it out, that there's some sort of common ground and friendship that could happen with anybody. Yeah. Now, maybe that's not the case with everybody, but that's the way I feel. The media.
What I have found is that, and this is not a political show, even though I would tell people I'm center right, but there are certain things about what I learned after Hurricane Katrina, it being an equal opportunity destroyer. I learned there's a role for government. So I'm not far right in any stretch of the imagination. I have strong faith. I'm center right. I'm a less government guy, but I understand there's a role for government to play in our lives as well. So, I mean, and I think a lot of people are right there with me, but here's the thing. In conversation I have with people who are way left, for example, and some of them that are way right, for a matter of fact, I'll ask them privately, I'll say, explain to me why you feel that way. And what I find is they're so passionate about what they think they feel that they don't really even know why they feel the way they feel. They just, once you start to try to get below the surface of how they feel what they did, in some respects, and I hate to say this, and I've got certain people in mind and thinking about this, but their talking points were delivered to them. So Mark Henderson once said on my show,
you can tell it's very synthetic and it just doesn't come off as honest. And I'm telling you, it's like people that hear songs they love, you can't trick them. And folks are smart. And you know why? Because they sort of think common sense. And when you try to cross that line and sort of create something or fabricate something, it is very, very obvious with a lot of people. And in the end, it doesn't work. It doesn't have staying power, right?
Yeah, listen, Mark, my buddy, Mark Henderson, he's a leader in Coastal Mississippi. He's an entrepreneur. He's an extremely good artist, and he's also involved in some high-tech stuff. So he's really, really, really smart guy. And he's the one who said, too many people wake up each morning waiting to have today's talking points delivered to them, and they just kind of run with it as gospel. And as you were pointing out, whether it's TikTok or say, like, let's you're just on TikTok, so we'll talk about TikTok. What happens on TikTok? If TikTok, the way the algorithm's working, you can flip through stuff, but if you stay with something a little bit longer, it's starting to collect data on how long you stayed there. Then if you bust past stuff that you're not interested in, then you stop again. It's collecting that data on how long you stayed and interacted with that video. If you comment or if you like it, that's also feeding the algorithm.
This is why what happened. I've been on it a while, and I'm seeing a lot of food people.
Yeah, see again. Yeah, I go to it.
Yeah, but continue.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
That's what happens, though. That's the way algorithms work. So it's going to feed you more content like you like. Well, they want it to be sticky. So if you're way far right and you spend a lot of time on far right stuff, or you're far left, and you're going to get a lot of stuff fed to you from people who, let's say, the extremes are somewhat wacko at some point. And you're going to find a lot of people who think like you do. And if you're not totally stable mentally, you may think everybody thinks that way. You may think that this person's a problem. And that's how you get into this situation where too many people who are voices in society today that have had death threats against them. I've experienced some of that as a publisher. Yeah.
You have, haven't you? And there's just so much anger. It's so different from the time we were raised. And I think social media and the way the media is now news, their views rather than news, more so. I think that it is magnifying and like you're putting the magnifying glass with the sun and you're heating it up and you're heating people up and they're getting crazy and they're doing awful things. People are doing awful things, that are, that have serious repercussions. And I mean, he's not going to be able to wake up and kiss his wife and kiss his kids and watch them grow up and play sports and fail and succeed and be a part of that nurturing. And they're not. That's not right,
Yeah, you never know where the ember is. You never know where the ember is that could spark holy mackerel, you know what. And I don't think the media.
I wasn't paying attention until I'm paying attention now, because every other thing you see on social media is that, and he's speaking and you're getting this whole story now. And I'm going like, Matt, because I got to be honest with you, I wasn't paying attention. We'll
pick that right there. We're talking to Steve Azar, musician and songwriter. We'll see you after this break. Welcome back to the Ricky Matthews Show from the Citizens Bank Studio. We're visiting with singer-songwriter Steve Azar. He's got a show on SuperTalk Mississippi Media, and he's got another podcast he's working on. He's writing songs. He's got a great show that's part of a Viking cruise line, and on the Mississippi River that stops in Greenville. And he's just got a lot going on. But hey, let's finish this part of the conversation. Just one other point I want to make is that, it's interesting because I said it was Hurricane Katrina for me was a very defining moment to help me it was an equal opportunity destroyer. It redefined what poor was. People who you would have never expected, doctors even, who had not enough insurance on their their doctor's offices or their homes, were suddenly eating bologna sandwiches for years. So it when you have an experience like that, it helps you really start to understand kind of where you are politically and whatever. Well, the Mississippi Delta is not different from that, because Mississippi Delta, it's like the Mississippi Delta has always had economic challenges. It's always been a place that's had these challenges, and you've experienced it even as I remember talking to a friend of mine who was Lebanese Catholic, raised in the Mississippi Delta. He said, how hard it was to be a Lebanese Catholic raised in the Mississippi Delta? It wasn't easy. Did you experience any of that growing up, Steve?
I mean, my great-grandparents were here. So you're talking late 1800s on the dad's side is what I'm told. And then the very beginning of the 1900s for my mom's side. She's 4 generations, and my dad is 5. And that's what I've been told. And I can't quite figure out my dad's side and seeing that 5th part. But my mom's, we were talking about the other day, and she was showing me pictures of her grandfather. And I didn't. It was past that point. And I just, you see your parents and your dad in military outfit and pictures, and your uncles and your family members, and I feel like that's sort of that's America. And they came over, but somebody, interesting story on the Lebanese Catholics coming over, and out of Vicksburg. It was a Thomas kid in college, and we got it sent to us, and it was amazing. They were sort of peddlers. They would go farm to farm and sleep on barn floors. They were entrepreneurs, and they sold things. You know what I mean? And that makes all the sense in the world to me. Our families were that way, and very, 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 very hard workers, and that is something that I feel. But people, when I came home, people go, "Oh, he's moving home because he must be broke," and I used to go, "What?" Or he must be, or he's, I lost his mind, or he's this. And I was going like, why are they saying that? And when I came home, I mean, it was beautiful. And it felt so much more home than Nashville ever did. And I'm grateful for Nashville. And I miss my friends in Nashville. And I see them on the road or see them whatever. And, we stay in touch. But coming home was home. And there's something about here that is challenging. But it's challenging for us to actually put our minds together and put our money where our mouth is and actually make a difference for people that need help. And so, I came home with that I think that attitude. And now I'm doing a lot of things I never expected I'd be doing, but I'm grateful that I have the opportunity to do it and the health to do it, and that we'll continue on. But a lot of people care about this place. And I just didn't understand why people were saying, why would you do it? If you lost your mind, are you broke? And I remember going like, no, I'm not broke and I'm not out of my mind. I'm coming home and I want to write about it. I want to be home now on this side of it when I was fighting to have a career. And now I'm coming home and I've had a career, and it just felt like coming back to your own bed. You know what I mean? After you've been on the road, you can't wait to get back to your bed.
Yeah, I think we've mentioned it before, but we haven't talked about it in a long time. The documentary, There's Something in the Water, is a great reminder of that musical root of Mississippi and how this diverse group of people come together to create beautiful music. And where you did it, the juke joint that you did it, I mean, I think everybody should watch it because it's a great story about how we can come together. I mean, do you look back on it that way?
It's funny. Two things. Yes. It reminds me that I was raised in a certain way. And if it wasn't for the people in that room, now some of them I didn't know, but I knew Little Milton, and I got to know there were things that were said to me. And obviously Eugene Powell was the biggest one in my life. That moment where I fell in love with it and seeing him behind my dad's liquor store, and the juke joints I'd sneak in to play every once in a while. It wasn't like I did it all the time, but I did it enough where I'd built a rapport with folks that really were helping me believe in what I could do. And you see Sonny Boy Nelson, Eugene Powell, when you walk in my house. I used to wear his necklace all the time with his face right there, because without him, I'm never do it. I'm nothing. And it gave me this opportunity to do what I didn't know this was going to be the love of my life as a career, and I'm just blessed to be able to do this. Who would have thought? It doesn't even make any sense. You play Stevie Ray right there, Pride and Joy, and it brings back memories in 90. Was it 90? When did Stevie Ray pass? Was it 90 or 91? When he passed away, and I was on stage, Albert King was to my left. They asked me to do his tribute. Son Thomas, the great blues legend who never had anything except prophecy. I mean, he was a brilliant man that lived very meek and humble. And we were on stage together, and we did Pride and Joy. And then I did my song Flatlands, which was a song that was constantly being evolving into this song. And finally, I threw away the choruses. It took forever to finish, but I played it first there, and I did it at Mississippi Rising for Hurricane Katrina in Oxford all those years later. Played it at the Opry. Played it at every arena in the country that I played. It was crazy. That song started there the first time I played it. And at all these places that I played it that remind me, that is so home to me. And it's one of those songs I wrote about home that has gotten to see the light of day in a lot of places. And it's just so cool, that it's surreal, and you can document these times in your life and these tragedies that happen and these triumphs that happen by song. For me, I can,
Yeah. Well, people can see that Something in the Water video on YouTube. And just so you know a little bit more about it, if you have not heard us talk about it before, it's B.B. King's band with a couple of additions, and they were cutting the album that Steve did a terrific reunion of Mississippi songs and that you've written. And at one point in the, I mean, it's really, there's something in the water, and that's sort of this point about this beautiful music that comes out of Mississippi, and it sort of ties all that together. At one point, they actually go, they're in a juke joint adjacent to the B.B. King Museum, and at one point they actually go over and get the famous guitar and tune it up, and it's magic, isn't it?
Little Ray Neal played with Little Milton, and he used to have these sparkly jackets, and the sparkle was still on the guitar. So B.B. King Museum is some of B.B.'s friends as well. It's the 100th year of B.B. It's the celebration of 100 years. And you think about B.B. King and the influence he made on the world, and me and anybody else that ever picked up a guitar. He had his own bus in the 40s. I mean, you're talking about success coming from a sharecropper. Family, think about the life and what he did to change the world of music. It's just, I mean, you can't make it up. It's impossible. Strax, my son the other day, he's got a real movie out now on Amazon Prime called The Death Letter Blues that you know about. But he said, "Hey, Dad, I wanted to let you know that he did that documentary. He edited it all while he was a freshman in college, filmed so much of it. And he said, I'm putting this in my part of my resume now. And he's finally admitting he loves it. And see the work, I said, Strack, the work you did was remarkable. Like, it looks like as good as anything, and he didn't have the means and the team to do it. And I'm blown away that he was able to put that together like he did. And now he's taking credit for it. So I'm happy without using it. That made me feel good. But they said there's some scenes in there that he goes back and looks. Walter King, who's now in heaven, was BB's band leader for 25 years, I think, or was with him 25 years. Walter King was brilliant. He was beautiful. And he was what every person should strive to be like. Incredible empathy, incredible compassion, and, brilliant at his craft. Brilliant. Just brilliant. Beautiful man.
Good stuff. There's Something in the Water. It's a documentary. Again, you can go see it on YouTube. It's really good. You got to go see it just to connect with what Steve and I are talking about. Steve, your radio show continues to go well. It's going strong. This new podcast that you've got, that's going to have some legs, huh?
Yeah, we had fun with it. A couple guys that I've known, wonderful, wonderful faith. They're just very cool guys. One's in Oregon, one's in South Dakota. And I said, we got together, and then all of a sudden they're the ones that said, let's do this. And we've had a great time. They're way smarter than me. I always say I'm Gilligan. One's a professor, one's Skipper, and that's what it is. And I always feel like I'm on the couch, and they're analyzing me. But with that said, we're digging into how song can be a part and creativity in the business world and leaders and how they connect. And there's a lot of common threads between it all. And I've really enjoyed it. It's called Resonance, and it's out everywhere you pod.
Hey, let's do this. When we come back on the other side, we'll find out what is this song that you said you were working on that addresses the division in the world. And we'll also find out how's your resident show going in Greenville. We'll continue our conversation with Steve Azar when we come back. See you after this. Welcome back to the Ricky Matthews Show. I love spending time with my friend Steve Azar. My goodness. Steve, we could go for 2 or 3 shows when we get together. There's just so much to talk about.
Oh my gosh. Are you kidding? I think I'm not a hunter. You and I would never shut up, and you'd go, it's time to shut up, Steve.
Well, you know what? I still think, God, man, we got to quit talking about it. You can cook. So we can really cook. Make a fun little reunion happen. There's no doubt. But look, you mentioned this new song that you're working on. What's the name of it? What? Tell me about it.
It's called Give God a Try. And it's sort of fighting the seeing all the hate, and it bothers me. It's upsetting, and you pray for it, but it seems like it's very evil. It's like they're coming from no empathy, no compassion, everything we're talking about today. And you're like, where did they not get that? And then how could they not just appreciate the other side? And the arguments are fine, but it's gone way beyond arguments now. We're watching death. We're watching it's just a lot. It's sad, and so many people are affected by the sadness in their families, and it changes generations, and it's just sad. And so I think it just drew me into the writing room. I had an idea on guitar, and I went and played it for Gwen. And she goes, please don't tell me you're going to do that melody again. I went, what melody again? She goes, go do something unique. And so she pushed me. And so I go, I got to go to the piano for that. And I did. And all of a sudden I went to it, and she goes, and she heard me. She goes, there it is. And so I said, okay, you're right. You're always right. Most of the time, some of the time. But no, she was right. Now it's a work in progress, but I'm honing in on it now. I'm going to take my time with it,
Yeah. One thing I'm really glad to see, though. Okay, I got a friend of mine who's an atheist, and he barely even talks to me anymore, sadly. But for people who have doubt in their mind, or maybe people who were into religion and have moved away from it, you're seeing people start to say, wait a minute, I need to refocus on my faith again. And for people, I'm of faith, you're of faith. It's really good to see that. And that's not a political statement. I mean, I got people, again, on both sides of the spectrum. I got people who would describe themselves as Democrats, who are extraordinarily religious, and same on the Republican side. But at the end of the day, what I just love, forget about politics for a minute. I just love people having questions about what would faith bring to my life in this moment, and what role could it play in creating more hope for me and more hope for the people around me and more hope in my future. I love that we're having that conversation. That's a good thing. And in that way, your song probably will resonate with people because they're giving God a try right now. I think they are.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think what's happening is people are deciding I'm either going to be that or I'm going to go there. And right now there looks like a whole lot better place to be because it involves forgiveness. And it involves conviction, and it involves all these things that make a lot of sense. And it also feels good. And so, do you want to feel good, and do you want to be happy and find joy in your life, or do you want to be miserable and angry and all that? And that's just not a good place for you to live in. It doesn't. It makes you sick to your stomach being that way or being around that. So, I think people are seeing they have a choice now, and there's probably a big awakening happening. And I think you're witnessing it right now.
I think you are. Listen, I listened to the Sermon on the Mount yesterday morning and was deeply touched by it. Just a great reminder of, the ideals we should stand up for and being, this life together. And it's just a beautiful message. Okay. We got less than 2 minutes. In Greenville, there you are, and you have your resident deal with Viking. That's still doing extremely well, isn't it?
Yeah, show Thursday, and we're about to actually get our 2027 schedule so that's how far ahead we are, and it's really great. We keep wanting the interest rates to drop. In my mind, and my buddy Wesley Smith, who's head of tourism down here, is a big part of this. We keep thinking if interest rates drop, they'll build a second ship, and they are going to build a second ship. We're just waiting on it, and we had a little drop the other day, so that's good. But we love working with these folks. Viking people care about every single passenger. They'll go, Steve, that one person was cold. And so, okay, we figured out where to put them in the room. We had people waiting. If that air-conditioned vent sees old building, at E.E. Bass. But, man, it's got a story to tell. And we tell it. But so we make sure of that. There's always little bitty things, and they care about everybody like I do. And I really get concerned when everybody doesn't love it. And so we fight for that. Our team does. So I have a great partner in Viking. They're wonderful people, and we're grateful, and our hometown's grateful.
Yeah, it's great to hear it's going well. I will get over and see one, hopefully this season. I have to. We will make that happen. Listen, it's been a pleasure.
You'll be able to hunt and do that. I got you. Get you in and out.
I know. I got it, man. We'll make it happen. Steve Azar, it's been a pleasure, my friend.
Love you, buddy.
You hang in there. Keep up the great work, man. Keep inspiring us. God bless you. Hey, it's been a terrific visit. Hope y'all have a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow.